Most of us equate financial independence with retiring early. I mean, that's the FIRE movement in a nutshell. This couple here, they seem to have done it, and we'll see how great that life is.
I started getting diagnosed with some fairly serious medical ailments. I just began to realize that I had been working for a retirement that I may never enjoy. We just knew we wanted the freedom to make our own choices with our time. And that's where financial independence came in. Then it turned into how fast can we do this?
I definitely identify with that. I've spent many times reworking my numbers to see how quickly can I reach a certain goal. And so the timeline is important.
We accumulated 19 units over the span of just from 2016 to 2019.
I'm Debbie.
And I'm Chris.
We are 43 and live in Colorado and retired by the age of 40.
19 units in just a few years. That's a lot of what I would call doors. That's an apartment, or it's a townhouse, or it's a single family home that they're renting out. That's a lot to accumulate in that quick of a time.
I never wanted to be a millionaire. That was never a goal. Even, now in my 40s, I just wanted to have enough money to be able to pay my bills.
When I was 21, 22, somewhere in there, I remember reading The Millionaire Next Door.
Great book. Millionaire Next Door. That's a great place to start for so many people. And having the goal of being a millionaire is less popular. One, because you're probably going to need more than $1 million. And two, it's just kind of an arbitrary goal that doesn't seem to be as catching fire as much.
The stories they highlighted in that book were very similar to what we did. Once it became in that realm of reality that I could maybe be a millionaire, then I did become fascinated with the idea of being a millionaire in both healthy and unhealthy ways. Once Debbie left her job, we're now completely dependent on my job. Honestly, I'm sure there was more than this, but I tell the story that basically I just stopped going to Subway. Obviously that's not the whole case, but that's all it really felt like. Once we started tracking our spending a little bit better with budgeting, I was the guy that was always trying to turn the knob down on our spending.
It's so true how sometimes it just feels like cutting out Starbucks or cutting out that lunch, and you tend to focus on the one routine or the one habit that is most consistent, and you have one impact. There's a lot of other little impacts, but that's what I call a keystone habit, something that has definitely impacted the rest of his life in a positive way when he started really focusing on his spending and cutting out that one thing.
It was fun to try to spend $100 a month on groceries and just eat what came out of the pantry.
That's a great way of looking at it, that it's more of a game for them. Take $100 each month and try to actually just spend that on the food for the next month. If you make it a game and keep it fresh, then you're gonna be able to sustain it a lot more.
So we both kind of had this thought, what if you want to leave your job someday? That thought easily turned into how can we use our money to buy us more time?
I was mainly hearing a lot of stories about rental real estate. Some people were building mega empires with rental real estate. I wasn't looking to do that. I just wanted to have additional income. And in the process of going from we don't know anything about being landlords and real estate owners to let's buy our first property, I scoured the internet and spent a lot of time listening to podcasts, watching YouTube videos, reading blogs and forums. And we got this 8.5 by 11 vision board type of thing. So it was just something that we could write on with chalk that we had in our kitchen that would remind us of our goals. And as I was writing those goals down, I believe we had by the end of 2016, we were gonna have 2 properties. And by the end of 2017, we were gonna have 4 properties.
And that's not an unreasonable goal to have. It said they started in 2014 and over the course of 2 years, saved up enough to be able to have 2 properties. And then oftentimes with the cash flow from that, you're able to then scale and have 4 properties. That's a good crash course that he provided us there, with having an objective in mind. And then to get educated and to take in information, podcasts, videos, books, audiobooks, and take in all this information that's going to be laser focused on getting your objective and turning it into some results.
We were getting properties that other people didn't want. There was something that was a bit of an ugly duckling about them. For me, a very difficult part of this was a lot of elbow grease. fixing up the ugly things, working on the houses, getting smoke smells out, painting everything, tearing a bunch of flooring out. I'm spending full days over there. Chris is getting off work. He's spending nights and weekends over at these rental properties to get them ready for tenants and make them nice places to live.
That's so common of an approach when it comes to real estate. I call them as wedge deals. A lot of people out there, they see it as you have a property that most people don't want because it needs some Elgro grease. It needs paint on the walls, flooring, roof, maybe cabinets, usually not a huge tear down. It just needs some love. And so when you take a property, let's say it costs them $200,000 and they invest $50,000 worth of repairs into that, at the end, it's then worth $400,000. So it can double its value. And that's, I know, an extreme example, but it's not unusual for it to go increase in value more than what you're putting into it. And that's instant equity in the property that then you can work with.
And as we were doing that, I'm still saving 50 to 60% of our income through my paycheck.
All the extra money we weren't spending out of your paycheck was going toward buying more rental homes. All of the cash flow we were getting from rentals was going toward buying more rental homes.
We accumulated 19 units over the span of just from 2016 to 2019.
That's a lot of units. And so when they say units, that could be a duplex would be 2 units. And that's how I treat it, as doors. And so that's 2 sources of rental income coming in a duplex. Triplex, 3. It's a single family home is 1. And so that's something where in just a few years, they're able to really hustle and get a lot of different rental income streams and spread out their risk.
So gross income from our rental properties can vary based on vacancy, capital expenditure, rehab, repairs, those kinds of things. But it is between $8,000 to $10,000 per month. And our net income from our rental properties is between $4,000 to $6,000 a month.
Many people would be happy with $4,000 to $6,000 per month in net income. That's the income that they're taking home after all their expenses, and being able to live off of that. I can definitely see how they were able to retire early and gain that financial independence off of these 19 rental homes. And every one of these homes is going to be building equity over the course of the next few decades.
So the money we live off of comes purely from our real estate investments.
We do have mortgages on all of our rental properties that we consider business debt. Our tenants pay those mortgages for us essentially, and rents continue to rise as they do so as the mortgage goes down.
This is a hot button issue, but if you're Dave Ramsey, you're paying cash for those rental properties and you're never having any debt on any investment out there. But for me personally, if I'm going to be honest, our rental property, we have a mortgage on it. And it is what helps us that leverage to be able to own more of a property and to make it to where our rental income is high enough to account for everything and have it a high enough ROI so it beats the market.
Right now, our investments look like we have about $350,000 in a combination of traditional IRAs and Roth IRAs and a brokerage account, $35,000 set aside in a 529 account for our girls, and another $20,000 in I-bonds.
That's a healthy distribution right there. I really like what they had. If I were to just estimate it, I would say that your traditional retirement investments made up about a third. It looks like they were sitting a little bit heavy in cash, which is fine because you're cash flowing a lot of properties. And then they had some really specific other investments outside of their real estate, as far as a 529, an HSA. They're really maxing out all the possibilities to get those tax benefits in their investments.
The insurance that she sells for 1 month a year provides that extra cushion of safety or comfort, as well as some other discretionary spending. Our budget now in fire, it looks very similar to what it was pre-fire in that none of our categories really went any different direction except for travel.
We usually have about $10,000 in our travel budget over the course of any time, and it's more than we spend.
I mean, that's goals right there. How many of us wish that we could be traveling and we'd have enough money that was being able to sustain that, not just for one trip off in the distance, but $10,000 year over year to be able to accumulate all these experiences. And they're already retired, so they got plenty of time to enjoy that.
Instead of having a job where I would work 48 weeks a year and have 4 weeks off, I would say now that I work probably 4 weeks a year and have 48 weeks off.
And we've found in our lives that meaning and purpose are important to our emotional and physical health. And part of that is around work.
Now, I will say that what they're defining as work is what most of us think of as a desk job, but they've got a podcast, they're making videos, they're managing rental properties, she's selling insurance. They've got all these other irons in the fire, and they've spread out their risk across lots of different sources of income. They're still working, but it doesn't feel like work, and that's a key.
We are really enjoying having this freedom of time to make connections, to travel and explore. Our daughters are getting older, whether we like it or not. They'll be graduating, and I'm excited to be a part of their lives as they move forward into their next chapters, and have the abundance of time to be able to be in their lives as much as they will allow us, or as much as feels comfortable.
I've always said this, and this is for my son. He's 2 now, but man, when you're 22, I want to be there. I want to be there when you're going to a football game. I want to take you out skiing in the winter. And I know that you're going to have a life and you're going to have friends and a lot of activities, but I can't wait to be there when you'll have me there. Be able to have the flexibility of time with my job to be able to drop it whenever I want to and go and spend that time.
I think when we were searching for financial independence, what we wanted was freedom and independence from having to go to a place and do a thing someone else told us to do.
That's such a great example of someone who is taking the retirement early from their first job, from their first career. I call it the middle third of life, and taking that final third and beyond and really just enjoying it. And so if this is a goal of yours, then let's get together, let's write down this goal, and let's chart a specific path to help you achieve it.